I'm live. And it's Monday. Whoopee. But I'm not playing Satisfactory. When was the last time? Okay, actually, I know when the last time was. It was after the Tipathon ended. But beyond that, when was the last time I didn't stream Satisfactory on a Monday? Since before 1.0 launched, probably? Yeah, I'm just... Well, honestly, I'm not just trying to avoid burnout. I am kind of burnt out a little bit, so, yeah. Just taking some time away from it. Of course, I'm going to be playing it again starting next week. I don't know that it'll be on stream necessarily. Probably will one day, but it depends on how I'm feeling and if I can get something else figured out. Because is it Monday or is it Sunday? It's Sunday. November, 30 days. So, yeah, Sunday is the start of Fixmas. So, naturally, going to want to be playing this next month while that's all going on. I've never actually completed the Fixmas tree, if you will, in the MAM. But, I see no reason not to this year. Got plenty of time. Oh, oh yeah, sure. Understandable. 105 gigawatts, very nice. 105 would be... what, like 15 to 1800 rocket fuel a minute? Something like that? It's a good amount. About half of what I theoretically could be producing. I'm lazy. I don't need the power yet. I might need it. No, I will need it if I ever get around to building that final project part factory. Southeast Crater Lake. Yeah, no, the southeast blue crater. Yeah, that has a lot of oil there. The problem is getting all the sulfur, obviously, but with the converter and enough SAM, not as much of an issue. I actually haven't even built down there once this update, and I don't know that I will, because I just don't need to. Such is my progression thus far. But anyway. We can talk more about Satisfactory, I guess, but I want to get into the game for tonight. In case you missed Saturday, it's a good one. Yeah, Saturday I started Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. So, guess what we're doing more of tonight? Yep, I got to. There's so many different endings that I haven't gotten to, so many different routes through the game, and more new content as well. There's OBS. I will be getting to the new content in a little bit. What's my favorite time of the day? I don't know. I will be getting to the newer content eventually. I just... 6 a.m.? Absolutely not. I want to give people a little bit more time to come in. 9 p.m. Sure. And also, there's a couple of things that I want to do that I haven't gotten to yet. That was the wrong key. Okay. 11 p.m. exactly. Sure, why not? Need to use the 100 gigawatts first. Fair enough, Shaw. By the way, yeah. Definitely my favorite time of day. Yeah, let's go with that. I did not, actually. It's 3 hours earlier. I know how much you enjoy. Oh, I love this game. Let's use another slider to find out. Not sure if you've ever seen this game before. Oh, man. Stanley Parable is an excellent game, and this is the Ultra Deluxe version, which, I don't know, added more content. It's a great game. How accurate is 11 p.m.? It's mildly... It's not accurate, but it's not inaccurate by far. So, like, if that was 11 a.m., it's closer to accurate than not. Sure. Yeah, no, that's just kind of a weird statement. It's good. I'd really rather you not put it like that. Oh no. Whip up a couple new sliders. Oh dear. I guess I have to reboot the game tonight. I mean, you know it's a good game when... Just... Oh my god. Obviously, spoilers incoming. But, it's a great game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Here, I'll just replay this. Why not?
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Didn't notice that down there before. Just some of the partition textures.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Later.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
Yeah, I have
well.
a very specific
Perhaps
ending
he
in
wanted to
mind
stop
right
by
now
the
because
employee
I
lounge
went to it
first,
twice
just to admire
yesterday,
it.
and I did different endings
Yes,
each time.
truly a
so
room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
if you
left.
want to see more, you want to see the endings I've already done, you'll have to rewatch Saturday's VOD.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is
Not seeing
that the
any lot
story has
issues
been
over there
about
now.
nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
Why not at the right distance?
Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for... This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her.
But why
If
is
you
the
can
phone
truly
ringing then?
place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
That was very bright.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Oh, of course
Who'd
not.
want to commit their life to you?
Oh,
I'm trying
wow.
to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Okay, fine.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes
Can't even get
is a
close to the
reminder of
door.
the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work.
There is Moa.
One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
I mean, Moa, I'm going for all the endings. So,
And so he began
not
to
literally
fantasize
all,
about
but
his own job. First, he imagined
I
that
skipped
one
this one
day while
multiple
at work,
times the other
he
day.
stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Just one more.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
If there ain't no broom closet, I'm not interested.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Broom closet. It's a place. Always get locked out of it. I got time. Yeah, I could legitimately just leave the stream like this. until it progresses. And if it never progresses, then, well, see you on Wednesday, because I need that achievement anyway. Not that I would end up streaming it. I did consider streaming the entirety of a Tuesday, but just trying to figure out how I would want to do it with not disrupting my usual workflow and such during the day, and yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna minimize it into the background like I did in 2019. I think it'll be easier that way, honestly. Besides, all you would get is Stanley standing in the broom closet if I could access it, or, I don't know, somewhere else if not. It wouldn't be terribly exciting, but that's the point at the same time. Do I have to prove him right? Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a super long timer that you have to wait through in order for this to do something else, but, like, any reasonable thing would have done it by now, so, fine.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Dingo, I know.
Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past it either. But that's the sort of thing, honestly, that I would look up after I feel like I've done enough for everything else.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Game.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Sure, why not?
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
I don't feel like getting locked out of it.
Stanley walked upstairs
Not
to
yet.
his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office,
And of course, we're
Stanley
not
was
to the
once again
point
stunned
where,
to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What Stanley was in such a rush to get through the
I
story
remembered
as
the
quickly as
code.
possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments
Camera
with
up
some
there.
calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
I got pushed forward out of it. There's just so many different routes through this game, so many different endings that you can end up in. I'm never going to be able to stream them all as much as I want to do
Descending
them
deeper
all.
into the building, Stanley realized he
I
felt
literally
a bit
need
peculiar.
like a
It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to
route
think for
chart,
himself,
I guess. I don't
to
know.
question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for
Need a
years
guide
it
in
had
order to
never
be able to
occurred
get
to him?
everything
This
done.
question would not go unanswered for long.
Spark.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen.
Hard to read that.
And Stanley,
Can't zoom in.
one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really
displays
been
down
under
there that
someone's
don't seem to be
control all
working.
this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Where was Stanley's room? It's up over there. Yeah, that's empty, isn't it?
No. He refused to believe it.
I don't know
He
what I'm
couldn't
doing,
accept
honestly, at
it.
this point.
His own life in someone else's control?
I'm just
Never.
doing
It was
things.
unthinkable, wasn't it?
And then after
Was
this,
it
we're
even
going
possible?
back to new content.
Had he truly spent
New
his entire
content.
life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Hear about that?
For he would dismantle the control. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes.
I think it's a little
now this
longer
is
than
making
that.
things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground.
Yeah, I genuinely don't
everyone
remember what to
inside,
do in this
or I let it
ending
burn to
at
a
all.
crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
That was the
My
entrance.
goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've gotten multiple achievements saying that I beat
Stanley.
Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
You're in for quite a disappointment.
Just saying.
But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling
I mean, that
desperately
is
to
an
your frail
ending.
life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice? Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Oops. Alright, shall we go do that new content?
All of his
Sorry,
co-workers
new
were gone.
content?
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Something very exciting, he says. After the last time, what happened there? I don't know, man. Oh, we just skipped all of that, huh? New content. Back into this elevator.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this Ultra Deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this Ultra Deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh. The end is never the end
Yes,
again.
you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed, honestly.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean?
Taste
But the
the
Stanley
sequel.
Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Is that not just a Windows background in the, well, is that not just Windows period? Because, like, that's photos, and that's, like, the default blue Windows background. They're back. New content is out. New content part 2 is in. Oh, red section of the chart. Huh? 2. All the different 2s there. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to this. It's just, I don't need to add anything to it. It's just so good on its own. I mean, I have to add a little bit, because otherwise run into issues with, well, you're just uploading the game. Thanks for attending my meeting. Hmm.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Grab the ultimate sequel. Stanley Parable is the prequel to the Stanley Parable 2 is the sequel to the Stanley Parable is the prequel to the Stanley Every pause button is a Roman numeral 2. Valued investor. There's a bus. I'm not allowed in the bus or in the seating there. Yeah, that's great. Oh.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Interesting stairwell there. This is...
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, Let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature.
I'm not
Just play
Jim.
along. I promise you'll love it.
I'm racing.
Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself...
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Jim.
All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go
Good.
humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Okay. If that's what you want, sure. Which feature should I do next? That's the real question.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Did you see that? Probably not. Red is the new orange. Ray traced more of the same, but in a good way. The baby is all grown. Oh god. What the fuck? With just the right amount of change. Circle, infinite hole. Reassurance bucket. There's merch. Oh, I can't get in there. I saw the new content. Oh boy.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient
This just
solution
sounds like
for
the
me
companion
than
cube, but
actually
worse.
redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Alright, I had to give that a try.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you
I'm pressing
in the
Q.
Stanley Parable 2.
Let me drop it. Okay, I have a bucket now.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. but I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Oh.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Oh, they're just all sitting up there. I mean, that makes sense, but they're also flipped together. And there's one right there. Damn, I couldn't capture it with my bucket.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
The infinite hole is the other way. I saw that. There was a staircase by the looks of it over here. I want to see where that goes.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
At the end of the, Settings World Champion? Do I actually have to get the bloody achievement to open that door? Because, I mean, like... I don't know if I have to let go of it, or if just... this is sufficient. Yeah, I can't understand any of these language. There we go. This is very irritating. Trying to make sure that all the options appear, even though I'm not letting go of the mouse, which... I don't know, is this how you even do it? Very tedious to do. Definitely the sort of thing that you should do during a live stream. You know, it'd be really tedious is not only having it, like, on the option and letting go of the mouse, but also going back and basically confirming that that's the way you want it. Second person shooter? Huh? Oh god. Okay, this goes up by 2. And then changes odds there. No, I think putting my mouse in a lower DPI mode would help significantly. Wait, it shifted. Oh no. Oh, that makes this extremely obnoxious. Fair enough, Dingle. That is a big dot. Also, yep, that's my mouse speed now. It's very slow. Oh boy.
This is
You could really just do that. I would wonder if there's a voice line to complain about that, but I mean, can't really complain if it's like that, can he? Yay! I got the achievement. So I guess video... It really is just the sliders then.
Aha! I can see you've gotten the Settings World Champion achievement. Well done. You've experienced every setting, traveled to all corners of the settings menu. There's nothing you haven't seen. So, just for you, in the Stanley Parable 2, I'm including an entirely new setting.
Get rid of this
something
bucket.
called bumpscosity. What exactly is bumpscosity? Well, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I just know that you'll be able to adjust it on some sort of slider, and that it'll be available from the settings menu. We'll sort the rest of the details out later. I hope you're looking forward to trying out every level of bumpscosity in the Stanley Parable 2.
Look, I just wanted the achievement. Yeah. I like that I had to walk away from the door for it to open, though. Nice touch. A free achievement, you say? Get it here. Pull the lever, receive your achievement, no more steps. It just works.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Okay, here, I'm going to enable display capture. Disable game capture. So now you can actually see that, right?
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
I can only leave that hotkey on for so long before I run the risk of Windows getting unhappy about input spam. Shouldn't happen that quickly on my desktop, but, you know. Also, I'm re-enabling game capture. There was a stutter there. I'm going back in just because. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of way to get this to work, or you just continuously, you know, continuously mess with it and eventually it'll go. After all, there is an achievement. Test achievement, please ignore. Might have to come back to that.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
The hell is this? Oh, that's that hallway. The infinite hole, of course. Sure. Surrounding area. Right.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time?
Sure did.
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite.
This has to
I
continue
suspect that I'm
being
starting to hit the point
discovered
where
how
it's
far
no
this
longer
goes.
feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax
That was a
overall
weird
standards
sentence
for
I said.
accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
I think with that, it's time for a break. Bot said so. So yeah, I'm just gonna take a few minutes to sit in a hole, apparently. And during that time, I'm gonna go get up, get away from the computer for a little bit, just take a break. Don't worry, the hole will be there when we get back. Anyway, yeah, during this break, I am gonna run some ads. It's the only time during the stream I run ads, prevents pre-rolls for the next hour, you know the drill. Ads will be over before I come back, though, and when I do come back, we can investigate if the hole gets even shallower. Have to. Maybe it won't even be a hole next time. Maybe it will be a pillar. Anyway, BRB. Alrighty, I am back, and I'm still in a hole holding a bucket. See? Hello?
Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Well, that's rather rude. I'm not mashing keys, you're mashing keys. Oh, that was shift tab. Oh. So every teleport moved the hole further up until it was too high up, and now it's resetting? Or something like that. Definitely the best angle right here. Change your perception. Oh, perfect. Oh, even better.
Stanley? Stanley? Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
I guess this is my life now. By the way, I am occasionally testing different oh, okay. I've still got the stupid
Here
bucket.
we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
I want to go look at this one again. Fine. The mostly infinite hold. Fine, it ended. I love it. Free achievement, my ass. Epilogue? I think I've gone through most of it. I mean, I haven't gone to the jump circle yet. I'll get to the collectibles in a bit.
You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
Idiot. Somebody driving by. Alright, collectibles. What about you? Find them all. Oh.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Yay. Oh, that's...
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Alright, well, since you're still doing the stupid jump circle, I'm just gonna leave now. I think that's everything.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
That is massive. Holy shit.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh, the jump count reset.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and
Isn't that
integrity of
basically
the
what the
original
new
game.
content was to some
Would
degree
it
in the
possibly
first
work?
place?
I suppose it could, but it would need a
was only the jump,
really
but
tremendous
still.
title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Button did as described. I had to do it. Oh. Thank you, mouse. Can I get back to the... Can I get back to the game? No, definitely not. Oh, god damn it, it's still here.
This is the All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I could jump outside if I wanted to. Neat.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Wait, why did I pick it up? I should have just left it there. Damn it.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
I tapped the button and things continue. Like, I'm holding it now, and then when I let go...
Truly, being here with the bucket was a
Interesting.
grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there.
Go to the cargo lift.
Ooh. That's a lot of narrator dialogue.
Okay, this is day number 295.
Hey, Callie.
Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes.
Oh no.
It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This
Not too
is
long,
my
Callie.
golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there? Caporata.
Seems fine.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The thing here, it's no longer here. Who farted? Anyway, there's the bucket. Bye.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I don't see any open doors. Other than this one.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to
They were
do,
boxes.
Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Worth a shot.
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
It was worth a shot.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he
there
heard
might have
this
been a
narration
statue out here.
and realized
A
it was
statue
part of the
that-
game's design all along.
Collectible.
He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
416 is back to being 416, by the way.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Something to do with stairs, somewhere both red and blue, nearby a fireplace. Private but smelly place for an important person. Some of these don't seem that difficult. There will be a reward. Retrieve remains from warehouse floor. How is stuff floating over the center of a hollow looking table? It looks hollow. Is there glass or something there? Employee 416, huh? Something to do with stairs. I mean, I can think of one, maybe even two different spots where that could be. Somewhere both red and blue. That one, not sure. Nearby a fireplace. I mean, I can think of where that could be. And a private but smelly place for an important person is.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to
let me
get
put
you
it
to
down.
hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, and you're a
But
terrible
even this is
person.
worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point.
I would rather not.
Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional
Journal
landscape
entries?
of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years.
Ears?
Let him have it.
Alright, I'm bored of this. Also, the broom closet served a purpose this time.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, "Ah, it's a bucket." There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Now I'm just interested to see if he keeps going after a little while. Still
You know
can't put
what?
the bucket
I
down.
could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Seriously, if I could leave this here, I 100% would. I don't want it.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Not going through that door because I don't want to go down that storyline at the moment. But yeah, I think that's the stairwell one. Also, hey look, another one.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Alright, I'm back. Didn't actually go anywhere. But, let's continue.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light
that is a
pierce
fireplace.
the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
It's not the right fireplace then, I guess. Oh.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Where would the last one be, though? That's the real question. Place that's both red and blue? Got the stairs, got the bathroom, got the fireplace.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
And the bucket. I gotta investigate it.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
I mean, it is red down there. Up here. I feel like the last figurine thing would have to be ahead of here. In case it's not obvious, I haven't looked this shit up at all. I didn't realize that there were collectibles until I
But
saw
of course,
the sign
Stanley
for
and the bucket
collectibles.
thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Whoa,
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his
pretty sure I
fall.
didn't.
Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply.
Oh.
Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was inconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground.
And what's wrong with that?
The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually.
Eventually.
It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
I mean, I'd say that was an ending.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Crazy?
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay, it is somewhere both red and blue. Where's the red and blue one? In the game is red and blue. Something that could be interpreted as being red and blue. Yes, that's a possibility.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stick.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Totally. It's not just that I'm skipping ahead to get back to where we just were because I accidentally fell off the railing. Oops. Boy, the things you accidentally
Stanley and the
wander
bucket
into.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
You know I'm
Control
going to do it
Facility.
again, right? Like, I have to do it again. Not falling off the edge, of course.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Speedrun strats.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
And up we go.
He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept
Into the bucket.
his own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the
Boy
bucket
pirate.
tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working,
Wait a
all of it
minute, this
monitored
isn't
and
the broom
commanded from his
closet?
very place.
No, it's not, is it?
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They
Where is that other
high-fived in a really
figurine?
cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over?
Was it?
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth.
What?
Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
Why?
True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped.
I would eat
Very
the bucket.
soon now, he was about to find out.
Oh look, we're back at the beginning.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
What?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Where is that final trophy? That's the only one that's stumping me. Get up on the table. Where is this red room? We'll find it eventually. I mean, yes, but I want to find it now.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once...
I want to restart.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
What is with the aura in this room? Just immediately the lighting gets weird and... Did I see that right? No. I do have a bucket. Yes.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers.
Sounds like
if
a
I
problem.
did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
What if I want to be in here for hours?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
So I've gotten the one under the stairs here, right? I don't want to do that ending. I mean, well, maybe with the bucket it'll be fine.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end
Red
up with
light,
someone
blue
else's
wall.
bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely
That's
no
not
good
it.
would
Oh.
come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience
My
without the
bucket.
psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Well,
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
we've already
She
heard this,
arose,
though.
got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security,
But we have
and
to
walked
listen
her
to it
place of
because
work.
bucket.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place.
How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to
It's already
confront at
time
work,
for another break.
for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Oh, this game. The sequel is now. Uh-huh. Alright, I guess we're getting the same background. Yeah, like the bot said, it's time for a break. I'm just going to take a few minutes to stand up, stretch, and go find my bucket. Wait, what? When I come back, we'll continue with more finding of the bucket. But while I'm away, I'm gonna run some No, that's not right. I'm gonna run some ads. It's the only time during the stream that I run ads. And, something about buckets as well. I don't know. Something's weird. Anyway, yeah. BRB. Oh. Thank you, Chair. I am Bucket, and let's just get back to the bucket. And I'm back, and let's get back to the game. Yeah, that one. Resume the game. Just restarted, and
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled.
that was far harder
He'd
to hit
never be
than
alone
not.
again. Not truly alone. Not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
And we're gone.
Oh, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nope.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Absolutely.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home where we can go about life together.
I know more.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
I'll stop.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him
not a
delusional like
bucket.
this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location.
You can transfer
That's it.
solids as well.
It doesn't
This
do
is disappointing.
anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket.
It looks
You
like
know,
a bucket.
Once upon a time, it was me he took
But it's
orders
actually
from.
a
Me
waste
he
bin.
trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal. It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
We like Chinese here.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid.
And solids.
Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
And also transfer certain gases. Others, I mean, it can as well, but not as effectively.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Press Z to go home to work to home to work to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings.
Oh.
For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to
Oh.
be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say.
You
Do
don't
anything it
say.
asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Well, I mean, on that note, I'm just gonna throw it over here. I'll be back in a little bit.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Okay. Oh, don't fucking say that.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was
Really
not
just
directly to
streamlining the
meeting
process,
room,
aren't we?
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Sure about that? There's some balloons up there. You gonna acknowledge at some point that I went this way?
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Oh. Oh, no.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Okay.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Yeah, looks like a bucket to me.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
How the fuck am I supposed to know that from here? Also, 3D printing can be done with metal, so...
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
I knew it. They want you to, after 2 successes, they want you to say no, because surely this won't be.
Item 4. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
Wait, what?
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
So I wasn't wrong.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't
There's
anything
nothing
here.
there!
And I don't appreciate
Yay!
the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence, and yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay,
Oh.
Here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change
The rest of the game,
that we
though.
haven't got a game.
Yeah.
So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Alright, well, if everything's a bucket, I don't need a
Stanley
bucket.
had never seen
so-
the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Not gonna do the extra line for doing things.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
I did want to go down
Perhaps
that
he
road
wanted
again,
to
though.
stop by the employee lounge first, just
Since
to admire
buckets
it.
apparently aren't allowed, although
Stanley
I don't know
felt
how that
lightheaded,
works if everything
butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
It's not open anymore.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone
There is
you've
one
been
more
neglecting,
bucket,
Stanley.
well, actually a few bucket
Someone
endings
you
I want
forgot.
to investigate.
Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you.
Was this
to
sign
show you
always
something
there?
beautiful.
I need to
Look,
check that.
Let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
You know, this is red and blue. But, oh,
And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward.
No, I
would
want
tell
something.
you
Give
that
me
I'm proud
something.
of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here, and now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
I literally get nothing. How disappointing.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere
On
that isn't
Euclidean
here.
geometry.
Running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't
Oh,
it?
can't jump.
If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. No, wait. Where are you going? Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing. No! Oh, thank God. You lived. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, this would be dangerous for the bucket.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to
I think
get
his legs are
along.
broken.
Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me? I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I still thought that was possible.
Yeah, Callie. This is very bright. Like, it's not as bad as the full white screens, obviously, but still pretty damn bright. The worst part of this is it takes so much longer. So slow. I mean, fortunately, the steps make it faster. Because logic. If I strafe, does it go faster? Geronimo!
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Oh. There's no buckets? Or there's no...
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Here we go again. Yeah, we've already seen all of this.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
What? I have 7 out of 6.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the warehouse. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise
forward.
me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable
won't let me.
ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember? Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
Also, why would I go upstairs and then go back down when I could just go downstairs and
Let's
then
see.
go up?
What came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Sure.
This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was behind the boss's office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Oh. What year is it? Oh, but seriously, what year is it? Oh my god.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Where's this going? Ah. The
And then,
choice
Stanley,
room.
then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other.
Oh, I have 12.
Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Always got to go through the blue side.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone.
Oh. Having fun with the TV, though.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the Memory Zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels. Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the Memory Zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind.
Yeah, you said
Let's
that
keep
the first
going.
time.
I want more.
Oh god, please don't
And
play the
here's
movie
where I
again.
made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Yes. Oh god.
Yes, I love that video.
No, that was... Just ignore that.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Yeah. Don't know where it came from.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Yeah, there's nothing over here. Had to check.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it, the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Oh, my favorite.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Yup. Always to the right door.
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
The start screen.
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good.
I'd rather you
I did
didn't.
enjoy telling his story. so very much.
Still got a couple achievements
Okay.
to get,
Here we go.
after all.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Balloons are back.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be...
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
This was not the correct way
I
to
should
the
probably
meeting
let
room.
his lines
But
play
Stanley
out
had
more
felt
often
the
than I
bucket
am.
calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Specifically
And
the
here it
newer
was.
ones.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Confusion ending bucket?
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending
love
too
that-
much time with it.
Yes, the
Don't
closet
you want
is an
another story
important
involving
thing.
the Adventure Line? We could make the
Absolutely.
Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Oh, is this the point where I'm supposed to do something? I'm gonna follow the adventure line back there, though.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
What do you mean, give something up?
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me
Why are the
it already
pistons
feels
out
as though it's
in
been part of
the
the
air?
cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye
I'm
to
so
the bucket,
confused.
and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer
I'm
will do if
trying.
it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the bucket destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Well, that's not nominal. Also, I was legitimately trying to give it up the entire time.
The bucket destroyer. My prized creation.
With floating
you had so much
cylinders,
potential.
pistons,
we were going
rather.
to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Throat.
What could
Please.
it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd...
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office,
you just open
Stanley
it
was
for
once
me?
again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Loading, 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 loading.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control. Although
I haven't done this
passageway
one
had
fully
the
with
word
the bucket.
Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Yeah, but I don't know where else I'm supposed to go at this point, other than just going down where I just was to see if that did anything, but I'm doing this because I haven't done this yet. Still got the bucket.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Yeah, I know, Dingle.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Just the bucket?
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
That is a bunch of text.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Bye, bucket. So many buckets. Yeah, we're running out of time in the stream, so I'm trying to be a bit quick about this. Apologies if you're in the midst of reading things, but... all about the bucket.
No
It's
man
always been
can
about
own
the
a
fucking bucket.
and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Oh.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
Yeah?
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
The bucket was there too.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he... the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Already got the speedrunning achievement, but
Still no one
more or
was
less
here.
what we're doing.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort
Bruno
now
Plaza.
more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
You can't just
Stepping
do it
into
for
the
me.
manager's office,
Bastard.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Really would just need to stream this so much more to be able to do all the things possible.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read
That just takes too
Mind
much time.
Control Facility.
Even though the game will be open for 24 hours straight.
The lights rose
Wow, I got
on an
straight
enormous
up
room
there.
packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Now that's a true speedrun strat.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped,
pirate up there.
monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it
It says
that
pirate.
everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world.
At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Except for the bucket.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Hey, macaws.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions.
It's a neat looking
Had the
bird.
bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible
Penguins.
paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And Stanley was happy. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man, and a better... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Didn't expect
and
this to
entered
be
the door on
immediate.
his left.
Is there another ending for me to do? I don't even remember.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was
Come
where
down
he'd
there.
find. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's
All of
office.
these, really?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew?
No, I haven't. There's not enough worth doing down that route.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Not everyone is
Need
so
the
lucky
damn
to have a
bucket.
bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The
I don't
bucket
think
was
I've
wrong.
jumped off the edge
Stanley took the
either
door on his left to go back to the meeting
beyond like when I got the collectible.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The car...
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend.
Good try typing
So
the
he
code
threw
wrong,
himself to
Joe.
his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
I've
Perhaps he
not
had
gone
simply
out the
missed a
window
memo.
with the bucket. That's actually a good point, and that one's right here, so...
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so
Watch the chair
magnificent.
be.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone?
Wait a minute.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
I've already got
Click
the
a door
achievement.
5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly...
Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed,
Bot
and the
shush.
bittersweet reality of time, to see one's
Not time for
dreams and
briquette.
wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket?
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults.
What?
I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages
What?
and knew the incantations to summon their true power.
What?
Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power.
Huh?
I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
What?
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective, yet delicate, assertive, yet compassionate. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket
There's
was
too many
wrong.
endings.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yeah, good.
Said the bucket.
You know, I
Now
haven't
ride
gone
the
into
lift
that
all
shoot
the way to
with
the
the
top.
bucket.
There's something up there
Also,
I
I
need you
right
to
clicked.
do.
I need to not right click.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have
It was like,
alarmed
I
him,
obviously
of course,
went over
because
there, but
buckets
I didn't
can't
go
talk.
into the,
But Stanley chose not
button.
to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced
Oh,
that the
boy.
bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke.
Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is.
You
It's
sure about
sitting
that?
right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies?
Wait, what?
And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions
that
is
last one.
yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your
It's mixing
arms raised
units.
straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded,
breaks.
it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now. Good. This saying is a perfect
was muted
example
for that,
of
by the way, so you
expectations
didn't actually
management,
hear me
which is the
practice.
cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
I actually have to walk all the way back. You know, I would like to end the stream sometime tonight.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video
This
and take
bucket's
a hint.
missing a sticker.
Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud? Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. No, 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 no. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. No, 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 no. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back. Here we go. You ready?
Fine.
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No, no, no. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake.
Wait, what?
I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Oh, good, it reset.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes.
You think?
I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional
Sorry, Leroy.
videos. Let's see.
Yay. Oh, we're back to this office again? There's so many. Does it ever end? So many buttons. This is, even at 144 FPS, this is slightly unpleasant to look at. Okay, I don't know what to do in this space. Well, beyond press buttons, obviously. Anyway, I'm quitting to menu, and what's this? Stanley Parable 2. Quit to desktop. Oh right, I had desktop capture enable. Hi. And end scene. We're past the end time. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be streaming Stanley Parable again. It's a great game, but you know, if it wasn't for the fact that that one achievement exists, I would 100% keep messing with it, but I need to put the game down sooner than not. Because I don't want it. I mean, you know, what's a couple more days at this point? But there's so many more endings. I know, but the 10-year achievement. Should launch it again. No. I'd like to end the damn stream. Yeah. Contagion. I'm fine with that. Actually, yeah, I've noticed. Oh. Video games were meant to be played alone? Wait. Why was that a controller input? I don't have a controller connected. Why did it default to a controller input? That's weird. Is this why you wanted me to start it again? Is this why? Epilogue. Not now. We'll see about maybe streaming it this weekend, but I do want to get it put away for, you know, 10 years sooner than not. I hate that that's a thing. Why is it 10 years? I don't even know if I'll still be able to access the game in 10 years for a number of reasons. I'm never going to get the achievement legitimately. Then again, I would have gotten it on the original, but it was 5 years, Storm, and I've been able to earn that one twice over now. So it doesn't count after the first time, so I haven't bothered with the second. Oh my god, there's still so much to do with that game. And it's still such a good game. Which is why I'm actually going to be relaunching it in not too long. And then leaving my computer on for over 24 hours. Because you know what tomorrow is? It's Tuesday. Woo! At least the broom closet isn't locked. Tuesday stream? No. Literally just gonna park up somewhere, if you will, and minimize the game. Probably set specs, the frame rate down and resolution and shit, just to be minimal load on the system. Again, Kelly, I considered doing that, but I'm not doing that. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Too much of a pain in the ass. The next stream, though, will be... probably not that one. It's that one. Yeah, Wednesday, usual time. I need to wrap up that Emerald Warp Rando. Or at least try to. I don't know if we will complete it. I hope I do. I've only found one of the level 70s and it wasn't great. But I found like half of the gyms. And some of the E4 members. I haven't found the champion yet though, but still got a lot I can access. So that's good at least. So that'll be Wednesday. Friday, I don't think there'll be anything FNR. Certainly nothing planned at this point that I'm aware of. And, I don't know. We're coming up on the holiday season, and while I'll just be here, who says I might not take time off? Because I can. So, just have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream now. But I am gonna run some ads on the way out, as I usually do. You don't want to stick around for them, that's fine. You won't miss a single thing if you decide to leave early. Because it's the end of the stream. So, yeah, stick around for the ads or don't. Do as you wish. Anyway, that's going to do it for me tonight. Thank you everyone for watching, and hopefully, we'll see you next time. Later.